Welcome, everybody. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for being our fans and friends and watching our show. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And I always tell people, eat more turkey. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Smoking Jim will not be here tonight. He's filming another show, one of the busiest men in media. Chip Hayner's back from his hiatus.
One week.
So Chip and I can carry on. And we want to thank you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. We appreciate that. We got Steve Fisher here in the control room, and Zach just walked in. So we got great help here. And thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way in Nemacolin, the Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate you. On Facebook, we got 6,777 likes. We've been holding steady there. Thanks for watching our shows and liking our page. We appreciate that. And we got a lot of great sports to talk to you about. And I got some promos to start off this show with. We'll see if they can pull in on these promos. Let's see what they got. The first one, there we go. Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Poor Joey didn't make it to his 9th birthday. Thanks, Zach, for coming in, readjusting that. Get a slice of pizza, buddy. Go ahead. Help yourself. It's a 501c3. They do plenty of events. They've donated over $100,000 to find the cure for DIPG, the brain cancer that's a death sentence for these poor kids like Joey. So check it out, Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Next up's the Bethel Park Historical Society. A little glare there, but we can read it. Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. Check it out. They will have Mrs. Claus and Santa Claus coming there. Stay tuned. Go to their website, Bethel Park Historical Society, and check it out. They're a 501c3. They do a lot of great things here in Bethel Park, so check them out. Our sponsor of our show tonight is Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. Frank Finero was there, wished us a happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Nice seeing you and the new people working up there. It was great to see them, and we appreciate the pizza and hoagie. Thanks, guys. Next, there's a Studious Sloth fundraiser at the library November 24th, which is Small Business Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Studious Sloth is a painting by Maria Di Simone Prasic, and there's going to be prints, limited edition prints, 16 by 20 inches. They're available for $50 each at EV True Value Hardware, Give Mia a Cookie, and Bethel Bakery. All proceeds, there it is here if you could pull up on it, goes to the library. It's a great fundraiser. It's a great way to help our library out. They do a lot of great things there, and I'm big fans of our Bethel Park Library. Thanks, Zach. Keep chewing, and I'll have another one up in a second. Get another bite, buddy. Very good. Bethel Park Community Foundation just had their Bethel Bounty. It was a great event. 300-plus people, 19 vendors. You can go to bpcf.org. They have money. Last year, they gave out this past year, about $60,000 to different groups and organizations in Bethel Park, including BPTV, $7,200 for the great lighting system. Look at how it still looks like I still have a tan. You can't beat that. So the lights are great, and you can go to bpcf.org for your group or organization doing great things in Bethel. Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense, and I don't mind. He put my face on Uncle Sam. Uncle Al wants you for BPTV. You can be like Zach. Watch your finger, Zach. You got one bite left. Don't bite your finger. Oh, okay, we're good. You can help and volunteer on the studios, the sound system, the lights, everything here. And Zach's doing it, and so is Steve Fisher here. They're doing a great job. You can contact Dave Cable, 412-831-3304. Tell him Uncle Al, the Talking Machine, wants you to be a volunteer. That's it for my promos. We have one other sponsor. He sponsors What's on Your Mind. It's Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. You can call them at 724-348-4715. I'm not sure what camera. Should I look left or should I look right there? I'll look left. Thanks, Zach. And he sponsors What's on Your Mind, and that's how we start our show, with What's on Your Mind. He works on anything and everything that runs on gas. So we're going to get this show on the road. What's on your mind, Chip Hayner?
Oh, thank you, Alan. And good evening, everybody. Happy holiday week. Thanksgiving on Thursday. Great day to watch NFL football. The only Thursday that they should be playing football on all year, because, of course, the NFL facetiously says that it's concerned with player safety, and that's why they have games played every week 3 days after they've played on Sunday, so that they give the players ample time to heal, and because we're concerned about their health and well-being.
Yes.
First I want to give a shout-out to 4 of our WPIAL football champions who were crowned at Heinz Field last week. We had the Aliquippa, once again, won the Whippeal Crown.
How do they do it?
Our Lady of Sacred Heart.
I saw that.
90 years in existence, and they won their first Whippeal championship. Then there was Pine Richland, who beat Seneca Valley to win the championship. And then the upset of the day was Thomas Jefferson losing to South Fayette. What a game that was. It was a nail-biter down to the end, and Bill Chirpick, head coach of the TJ team, was going for his 8th Whippeal championship.
Wow.
And fell a little bit short. And that brings me to the other travesty of justice that was
what happened?
That happened last Friday night, because Gateway was not in the conference where they were going to play the championship game at Heinz Field. They were playing the semifinal games on Friday night, and Gateway played West Allegheny, and Penn Hills played somebody as well. And Penn Hills and Gateway were both 12-0, ranked number 1 and number 2 in the state. And unfortunately, Gateway met their match. They were 12-0 coming into the game. They had shut out 6 of their opponents. Their number 1 defensive player had to sit out of the game for a rules infraction. He was suspended for the game. So
much for Smoke and Jim saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Rules have to be enforced even at the University of Gateway. So subsequently, that school that's just a little bit west of Monroeville will be playing for the WPIAL title this week. I believe their game will be played at Robert Morris University. And also, Steel Valley will be looking to go back-to-back as Whippeal champions.
Yeah.
So we've still got some high school championships to be decided. Then, we've still got the state playoffs to go on. So congratulations to all the winners, and to all the losers, there's always next year. So that brings me to what's on my mind.
Yeah.
What's on my mind? Football games with basketball scores. That's what's on my mind. One of the things that has turned me off of college football over the last few years is the fact that they don't teach players to tackle anymore. And no lead is safe. And when most of the games, the scores end up with the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. That's not the kind of football I enjoy watching. Well, last night, the 2 best teams in the NFL went head-to-head. Everybody said this could be a preview of this year's Super Bowl. We had the Kansas City Chiefs at 9-1 on one side of the field. We had the Los Angeles Rams at 9-1 on the other side of the field. So they played a game last night. 105 points scored in that game.
Wow.
And I would find it hard to believe if somebody were to tell me that a team would score 51 points and lose a game in today's NFL. I didn't think that could be possible, but both teams scored over 50 points. And the Chiefs lost 54-51. Now, that is not the kind of football that I like to watch. And I'm sitting there listening to the talk show hosts today talk about, well, there was some great defensive plays on in that game. And I was like, great defensive plays? You gave up 54 points? I mean, I just don't.
In defense of that, literally with Aaron Donald, he had 2 great strip sacks, did cause a couple fumbles. So he did shine, and it shows why he's a defensive player possibly again.
Right, and and here's the thing that I find, and I'm very glad that you brought that up, because I pulled up something on my phone before we went on the air, as I wanted to show Alan some facts.
Yes.
Because I don't rely on my gut instinct, nothing but the facts. But looking at, now Aaron Donald may end up being NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Right now, the Los Angeles Rams have the 32nd rated defense in the NFL.
You showed it to me.
So how can somebody be in a conversation for Defensive Player of the Year when they are in the 32nd rated defense out of 32 teams? Somebody can figure that out. Please straighten me out. But the team that has the next worst defense is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're ranked number 31. So, this is the kind of football. Now, the ironic thing about all of this is that if you look at the 2 top-rated offensive teams, you've got Kansas City and you've got Los Angeles. So this has never worked in the past. Look how many teams Dan Marino played on.
Right.
And never made a champion. Always had the top-rated offense in the league. But the teams that are more balanced, that have defenses and offenses that are both up near the top, I think may end up having a better chance of winning it all. And we shall see how the season plays out. 6 games left. It's a sprint to the finish.
Yeah.
The Steelers have the number 2 seed in the AFC. A month ago, who would have thought?
Nobody.
Well, there you go. So now we've got NFL football with basketball scores. I don't like it. Maybe you do, but it's something that's lost on me, and I'm just waiting for the worm to turn to get back to football the way it's supposed to be.
Well, I think like Pandora's box, once it gets out of there, it's hard to put it back in the bottle. And not every team is going to be like this offensively. There's 3 teams now that are pretty much like it, and the Steelers show brilliance and flashes of it. So who knows? We shall see what happens. But some of it's exciting to see a quarterback throw 6 touchdown passes. That's still pretty exciting.
Well, and a guy threw 6 touchdown passes last night and had 5 turnovers. He had 3 interceptions and 2 strip sacks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did he have a great game? He
even says no. He was disappointed.
Well, yeah, he did, because he walked off the field a loser.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Look what Ben did. Ben had one of the worst days of his professional career for 3.5 quarters. Okay? Got hot in the last few minutes of the game, pulled out a victory. Statistically, he didn't light up the sky, but
I'm going to emphasize that on what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Don't steal all my thunder.
The only thing that's important?
W.
Big W. There you go. But that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Chip. I appreciate it, and I respect your opinion on that, because I got to agree with you. I'm old school on that. So we'll go to what's on my mind. Pittsburgh Steelers. I watch them. I bleed black and gold. It was tough watching the game. 2 minutes into the 3rd period, we're down 16-0. Again, I didn't stutter. 2 minutes into the 3rd period. Big Ben looked terrible. I think he had 3 picks. Overthrowing guys when he's throwing that high ball. It's terrible. James Conner was basically not even usable there because we were so far behind. Really couldn't run, couldn't pass, couldn't do anything. And as much as people don't like that, Ramsey did have some picks. So, he's a good player. They had the number 1 ranked defense at the time. And who would think we're down 16-0, 2 minutes into the 3rd period for the 3rd time, and Big Ben started throwing the ball, hitting people in the numbers. Juju was playing well. AB caught a nice pass, and it was just a whole different team. James Conner, I like him, but I don't like the 2 drops he had. He had 2 drops on 4th down passes that were right to him, hit him in something that's unusual, the hands. And his hands have been pretty good, but he dropped the ball on both of them. And we come back, we overcame every adversity. My hat goes off to the coaching staff, Tomlin and everybody. Who even cares about Le'Veon Bell? I had to mention him because they're going to talk about putting a transition tag on him. So who knows what goes on. The saga still continues. But we didn't need it. We won without Bell. We won basically without Connor except for a few passes. And Big Ben stole the game. He willed us to win. He was just so determined. He threw it into coverage. He threw it over coverage. He threw it around. He had everybody possible. It was a great performance. And for 36 years old, I said, man, he hasn't lost a thing. He really hasn't. I mean, he lost some weight, which was good because he looks a little svelte there. And believe it or not, he ran in to the goal line and scored. So go figure that one out on one of the plays. So he used his legs and the quarterback sneak. So he even faked a little shuffle pass and scored a touchdown. So it was an amazing finish. It pumped me up, and it made for a nicer day the next day because you got the Steelers winning like that. And it was quite the entertaining game, and it wasn't a 54-51 score. It was only 20-16, and I'll take that to the bank. Now we got to go to Denver and play Denver, so let's see what happens there. Can the streak stay alive? We will see what happens. Let's go Steelers. We'll be back with Chip Hayner and some trivia.
Good evening and welcome to my trivia segment. Just a couple of items of note because I'm going to blast holes through our dear friend who's not here this evening.
Smoking Jim Frazier.
I just Alan was talking about the Steeler game on Sunday, and he brought up and was hitting this receiver, that receiver, and everybody. And I remember a certain somebody who made a bold prediction before the season started.
Shocking.
That the Raiders were going to be going to the Super Bowl this year, and that the Super Bowl MVP would be Martavis Bryant, and that the Steelers made a huge mistake trading Martavis Bryant and keeping Juju Smith-Schuster. I'll just let the numbers speak for themselves. Martavis Bryant's stats for the 2018 season. He has 19 receptions for 266 yards and no touchdowns. Well, let's take a look and see what Mr. Smith-Schuster has been up to this year. 64 receptions, 866 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think maybe our coaching staff knew what they were doing when they sent him on his way.
Yeah.
But a couple of things I want to go over here for you this evening. And I was only going to use one of these, but since Jim's not here, we've got time to film. Last night's game, the Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams beat the Chiefs 54-51. The first time in NFL history that two teams played one another and both teams scored over 50 points, and one of the teams that scored over 50 points lost. That's pretty interesting. So what I did was I wanted to take a little walk down memory lane, and let's look at the top 10 highest scoring games in NFL history. And we'll start, I guess this would be at number 10. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns in 2007. The Browns would go on to defeat the Bengals 51-45. Number 9. Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets in 1986. Ken O'Brien was the quarterback for the Jets. Dolphins quarterback Danny Marino, and he gave his Ken O'Brien gave his team a walk-off 51-45 victory.
Wow.
Next up, another day that was a sad day for a storied franchise. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the San Diego Chargers in 1985. Chuck Noll, head coach of the Steelers at the time. The Steelers were beaten by the Chargers 54-44. Next up, we got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Denver Broncos in 2013. Another high-scoring game where the final score was 51-48. The Broncos beat the Cowboys 51-48. Next up, Kansas City Chiefs versus the Seattle Seahawks in 1983.
Whoa.
Back in 1983, there was a running back out of Penn State named Kurt Warner who was able to pick up over 200 yards on the ground. The Seahawks beat the Chiefs 51-48.
A lot of 51s there, Chipper.
Yeah, a lot of 51s. But the Chiefs are the first team to score 51 points in a game and lose. The Giants versus the Saints in 2015. The Saints beat the Giants 52-49. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We have the Oakland Raiders versus the Houston Oilers. This is way back in the AFL.
Whoa.
1963. Final score. Okay, the Raiders beat the Oilers 52-49. Now the number 3 highest scoring game in NFL history. Played last night. That's how updated my lists are.
Wow.
I get you nothing but the facts.
Wow.
I do my
Hot
research.
off the press.
Rams 54, Chiefs 51. What a game. I don't think so. It's not the kind of game I want to sit and watch. Number 2 on our hit list. Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns in 2004. And this time the Bengals returned the favor on the Browns. The Bengals beat the Browns 58-48.
Wow.
Okay. And last but not least, as far as our top 10 highest scoring games in NFL history, the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins in 1966. This was before Jim was born. But the Giants, okay, the Giants got tattooed by the Redskins by a score of 72-41. So
Wow.
there we've got our top 10
Wow.
highest scoring games in NFL history, and our list is current and includes last night.
Can't beat that.
You know, if I know quite a number of people follow Jim Frazier on Facebook,
Yeah. He's popular.
Instagram. I'm sure he's on Twitter. And he put out a question today, the best defensive backs of all time, and he wanted to give his top 10. And you know how Jim, and his top 10 actually included 19. So
That was close.
what I did was I came up with a definitive list, and this is a real list of the top 25 defensive backs in NFL history, not just defensive back that
Sure.
Jim remembers.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll start with number 25, and I'll make this as quick as I
Go
can.
ahead. We've got some time.
Rodney Harrison, number 25, is a safety, played for San Diego, New England. I don't need to get into all his stats. I'll get into some of the others. Number 24, Darren Sharper, a safety, played for Green Bay, Minnesota, New Orleans. 63 interceptions in his career. 11 interceptions returned for touchdowns. Number 23, former defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dick LeBeau, cornerback. 62 interceptions, 9 fumble recoveries. Played for the Detroit Lions from 1959 to 1972. Number 22, Darren Woodson, safety for the Dallas Cowboys from 92 to 2004. The next up after that, Lester Hayes, cornerback for the Raiders in the late 70s and early 80s. Lester Hayes was the defensive back that covered himself in stickum, so that
Ting.
he didn't need to grab the ball. The ball
It stuck to him.
It stuck to him. It stuck to his jersey, whatever. Number 20, and a current active player, I believe one of the only ones that is currently active, Richard Sherman, cornerback for the Seahawks, and now for the San Francisco 49ers. 32 interceptions, 5 forced fumbles. Next up, an Aliquippa native, Ty Law, cornerback for the New England Patriots. 53 interceptions over the course of his career, put him in the top 20. Number 18, quarterback Mel Renfro, played for Dallas from 64 to 77. 52 interceptions, Hall of Fame, 1996. Darrelle Revis, number 17. Revis Island, 29 interceptions, played for the Jets, the Tampa Bay, New England, Kansas City Chiefs, and he was a Super Bowl champion with the Patriots. Number 16, one of Pittsburgh's favorite sons, Troy Polamalu. 32 interceptions, 14 forced fumbles. I believe that next year Troy will be eligible for the Hall of Fame. Next up, number 15, Steve Atwater, safety for Denver for a decade. The Jets, 24 interceptions over the course of his career. Next up, and this is somebody that made Jim's list, Emlyn Tunnel, cornerback from the Giants from 48 to 58, for Green Bay from 59 to 61, 79 interceptions. Okay?
Wow.
Quite an amazing cornerback. Played for the Giants and the Packers. Next up, cornerback for the Los Angeles Raiders, Mike Haynes. Played for New England, and then he played for the Raiders. 9-time Pro Bowler, 46 interceptions. Member of the 75th anniversary team. Super Bowl champion with the Raiders. Next up, Charles Woodson, cornerback safety, the Raiders from 98 to 2005. And then he also played with Oakland in 13 through 15. From 2006 to 2012, he was a cornerback for the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champion with the Packers, 65 interceptions over his career, 13 defensive touchdowns. One of Pittsburgh's nemesises. Number 11, Ed Reed, safety for the Baltimore Ravens, 64 interceptions, 13 defensive touchdowns, 11 forced fumbles. The guy was a ball hawk like nobody else. Now here's an interesting positioning of somebody for whatever criteria they used. Paul Krause, safety for the Washington Redskins and the Minnesota Vikings, 8-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 1969 NFL champion. Key stats, 81 interceptions, number 1 all time.
Wow.
And that only earned him a spot at number 10. Herb Adderley, another cornerback, Green Bay Packers in the 60s, Dallas in 70 to 72. 3-time NFL champion with the Packers, and that was prior to the Super Bowl era. See, we won the Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II with the Packers, and we won Super Bowl VI as a member of the Cowboys.
Wow.
So Herb Adderley was a championship caliber player, no matter whom he played for. Next up, they call me Assassin was the name of his biography. Jack Tatum, the Oakland Raiders and the Houston Oilers, Super Bowl champion with the Raiders. He was probably known more for crippling Darryl Stingley in a preseason game than anything else. Number 7 on the list, one of the fastest defensive backs to ever play the game, Darrell Green, cornerback for the Washington Redskins, played 19 years, 4-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion twice, 54 interceptions. Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2008. Number 6, Champ Bailey. Washington Redskins from 99 to 2003, Denver from 2004 to 13, 52 interceptions, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 12-time Pro Bowler. Number 5, the man who was so good that they had to change the rules to make it fair for the wide receivers. Mel Blount, Pittsburgh Steeler, 4-time Super Bowl champion. He was one of the original shutdown corners.
And knock them down corners.
You know, the comments that people used to make was that if Mel Blount were to do to somebody on the street what he did to opposing receivers on the field, he would have ended up in jail. So,
Pretty
number
clear.
4, Dick Night Train Lane, cornerback for the Rams, Chicago Cardinals, the Detroit Lions, 6-time first team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 68 interceptions, 75th anniversary team. Now this one will get Jim a little worked up. Number 3, and I never really considered him to be one of the greatest, but now other people's opinions ruled the day. Deion Sanders, prime time, Atlanta, 89 to 93, San Francisco in 94, Dallas, Washington, Baltimore, 8-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion with the 49ers and with the Cowboys, and that broke my heart because that was Super Bowl XXX, the one that Neil O'Donnell handled the Cowboys. 53 interceptions over the course of his career. And I do agree with this ranking here. Number 2, Rod Woodson. Played for the Steelers, played for the 49ers, for the Ravens, for Oakland Raiders. 6-time first team All-Pro, 11-time Pro Bowler. Super Bowl championship with the Ravens, Super Bowl 35, 71 interceptions, 13 and a half sacks. 75th anniversary team member. Just to read you what they said about Rod Woodson. Rod Woodson was doing Deion things before Deion was in the NFL. The difference was Woodson did it with less flash and subsequent fanfare. Additionally, Woodson was a superior tackler to Sanders and one of the better blitzers from the corner in NFL history. And I will say this. Do you know what the difference is between a game-worn Deion Sanders Jr. Jersey and one that's fresh out of the box? Neither of them have any grass stains on them. Number 1 of all time, defensive backs. Number 1, Ronnie Lott, safety cornerback with the 49ers, the Raiders, the Jets, Kansas City. 8-time first-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler, 4-time Super Bowl champion with the 49ers, 63 interceptions, 16 forced fumbles, Hall of Fame 2000, 75th anniversary team. So there's your list of the top 25 defensive backs in NFL history. And maybe if Jim was here, we could have a nice...
You'd have a debate.
Difference of opinion, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, everybody's entitled to theirs.
Well, he'll be back next week, so we'll have that discussion again. Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it. On location, not much to say. We're going to be on hiatus for December and January, and we'll be back at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 930 Brookline Boulevard, on February 11th. That's when we'll be back. We are looking at a couple other establishments nearby, so if something comes up, we will let you know. But stay tuned. We'll be here each week out of the studio. We've been doing this for 7 years, and we plan on continuing it. Thank you for watching us. That's one of the things I'm thankful for, and thankful to Bethel Park for letting us do this. So we will continue next week, and we'll be back with some Steeler talk on the last segment of the show. Stay tuned. All right, thanks for staying tuned. We wanted to, Chip and I were talking about it, and Narduzzi with Pitt made a bold statement, and I thought he was crazy.
He thought he was. We all thought he was crazy because he said the ACC,
Coastal,
that he said that we would be in Charlotte playing for the ACC championship, and as champions of the Coastal. And I, watched the way Pitt started out the season.
My goodness!
They were 3-4, and I was like, okay, is he going to get fired before the season's over, or are they going to wait to fire him until after? What did Pitt do? They went 5-1. No, they were 2-3.
Yeah.
He went 5-1. They are now 7-4. They are winners of the Coastal Division in the ACC. They will be playing Clemson a week from this Saturday, but they've got the University of Miami this week and for their regular season finale.
Yeah.
So, job well done by
My
Pat
hat goes off.
Narduzzi,
Excellent.
to the members of the Pitt football team, the coaching staff, to Heather Like for having faith and confidence in him. And you know what? I think the arrow is pointing up for the University of Pittsburgh, not just in football, as well as in basketball. Undefeated, and they're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. But it's a great way to learn.
What a turnaround from last year.
Well, and before we get into our Steeler talk,
Heather,
I think her hiring of Jeff Capel was a huge, huge deal because here's what she did. She hired somebody right out from underneath Mike Krzyzewski, who played in the ACC, who's coached in the ACC. He had head coaching experience, so he knows what kind of players to recruit, and he's a great recruiter and a great motivator.
Yeah.
And, if you're going to have somebody that's going to compete in the ACC, somebody that's got the battle wounds from being in the wars in the ACC, a pretty good choice. And so far, he's doing well. And like I said, arrows pointing up for the University of Pittsburgh. And well done, everybody there. Maybe we'll be talking more about them over the next few weeks, but they give us a reason to talk about them instead of laughing at them.
Exactly.
I like it.
Me too, Chip. I'm a big fan of Pitt as it is, so I like the local teams.
So now we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a .750 winning percentage this year, 7-2-1 after 10 games. We were 1-2-1. We were 1-2-1.
Yeah, 1-2-1.
1-2-1, and you were scratching your head and you were saying, same old Steelers. They talked all year about how they were going to be the top-rated team in the AFC and blah, blah, blah. And they jumped out of the starting gate and fell flat on their faces. But, what did they do from that point on? They circled the wagons.
Sure.
And they started doing the things that they can do. Interesting thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I was going over some statistics with Al. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the number 6 rated defense in the NFL right now. After 11 weeks. And how could that be? Because Keith Butler isn't even fit to be defensive coordinator. But somehow, some way,
we are blitzing more than ever. We blitz more than any team in the league, and it's working.
Well, and here's the thing.
And our defensive line's pretty good.
We've got Joe Hayden, who's been playing very well on one corner.
Right.
And we've got Mike Hilton, who's a great slot corner and shuts down that. And if you've got a weakness on the corner, the best way to make that weak corner look better, put pressure on the quarterback.
Send
him.
If
he doesn't have the time to throw, if he has to rush his throws, so it makes a big, big difference. So the Steelers have, I said, the number 6 rated defense in the country. Well, I looked over on the other side, and I looked to see where the Steelers' offense was ranked. The Steelers' offense is ranked number 5. Now, they're the only team that's of the top teams. They're the only team of the top teams that have their offense and their defense are both in the top 6. Which kind of would lead me to believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are for real this year. They may legitimately have everything they need to contend for a title. And, Le'Veon Bell,
he gambled and lost.
He gambled and lost. And to speak to Le'Veon Bell, this whole thing has just been a disaster from beginning to end. But here's what my thing is. There's a collective bargaining agreement. There's rules that are put into place that the players have to abide by because the Players Association and the owners have agreed to it. Now, what Le'Veon Bell did by not showing up for the Steelers, even though it may have been his right to do that, goes against the letter of the collective bargaining agreement. And I think if it was me, it had anything to do with running the Steelers, I would make sure that he did not get away with it. There's got to be some kind of legal repercussions because we haven't heard the end of this yet. And I certainly would do everything in my power to not make sure that he got rewarded for what he's trying to do. Because what he's doing, what he's attempting to do is circumvent the CBA, okay? And, you know, he had an obligation to play for the Steelers.
Sure.
For the franchise
for this
money.
year, yeah.
But this is not over with yet. I am sure that this is going to end up in the courts.
Yeah.
And you know what? I personally hope that he doesn't get what he wants because he's telling everybody he wants $17 million a year and no less than $45 million guaranteed up front. And I hope that you know, even though the owners would never consider doing this, I hope collusion still exists. You know, because
they've done it before for players.
Yeah, but,
look at Colin Kaepernick. No,
yeah,
so.
but be that as it may. So Sunday, I didn't get to see any of the game. I was busy with various things, and the Steelers stunk. 3.5 quarters. They were 16
2 minutes
0.
in the third period is left, and that's when they started to come
And that's
on.
when they scored that touchdown to Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's the thing. The defense that is organized by the person that isn't fit to be an NFL defensive coordinator happened to hold the Jacksonville Jaguars to field goals.
Yeah.
And, you know, when
Hold
the
it. No
Steelers...
points in the fourth quarter either. 0.
When you can, you know, keep the other team from putting up 7, makes a big difference. Now, you look at this. Number 6 rated defense in the NFL. In the 6-game winning streak that we're on right now, we have not given up more than 21 points in the last 6 games. Okay?
That's huge.
It's absolutely huge. To me, if you can hold somebody under 20 points, to me that's like a shutout was a decade ago.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
Because it's changed.
Well, the game's changed and the rules have changed and they're protecting the quarterback and then they're not protecting the quarterback. First, you know, you can land on the quarterback. Now you can't land on the quarterback.
Not with your full body.
But this week it's going to be different because, you know, you can't figure out which way the wind's blowing with them, you know. But, you know, the wind blows whichever way the next lawsuit's coming in from.
We'll find out.
Yeah, but
No, but it's amazing. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the offensive line during this streak.
Unbelievable.
What they've done. The offensive line, what a unit, even with a couple hurt guys.
well, look at this.
You know, so, I mean, it's
Steelers have played
fantastic.
10 games. Ben has been sacked 14 times. Do you remember when
40-some was regular.
you know, do you remember the days when Ben would get sacked 50 to 60 times a season? You know,
He suffered a lot on that.
Yeah, that was back when the genius was here, wasn't it?
Just get the ball out, that's all.
Well, you know, whatever they've been doing with Ben, it's working. He's being protected. He's healthy. But the strength of the Steelers' offense, I think it begins and ends right there on the offensive line.
Yeah, it truly is a great asset this year. They've proved their worth with what they've done, keeping them clean. And look, they've been able to block for another back who burst through the hole instead of waiting.
So was Le'Veon Bell that good, or was it the Steelers' system that
it's
made
the egg
Le'Veon
and the
Bell?
chicken.
You know, which came first? Yeah, I get it. I get
That's
it.
one of the issues with it. And part of it is the relationship that they get with the other player that's a running back and how they mesh as a team.
Mm-hmm.
That means something.
Well, you know, if you've got somebody that's selfless as opposed to being selfish and that isn't me-oriented,
Sure.
you know, because, you know, it really does make it, you know, truly football is the ultimate team sport.
It is.
You know, because, you know, it is not because of the actions of one person that a team is either successful or not successful.
Right.
It's, you know, it's 11 men on offense, it's 11 men on defense. It's the guys that play special teams.
It's the whole package.
It is the whole package. So, you know, instead of the, you know, we've got the we first attitude now as opposed to the me first attitude, which was our biggest drawback last year.
Well, now we got ABCs. Instead of triple Bs, we got A, B, Cs.
Yep.
So, I mean, it works. You're flexible. But what I like is the attitude. They realize Le'Veon's not coming back, so they're playing what they're getting paid for, playing football. And you got to block the guy against you that's coming in. That's the game. That's how simple it is.
You know, that's how
block that guy.
Yeah, it's blocking and tackling. And speaking of tackling, the Steelers' tackling has gotten better. Has gotten better. Well, I mean, there was no place for it.
Had to go up. Yeah.
Yeah, from the first couple of weeks of the season.
It made a big difference.
You know,
and they're hitting people and they're pressuring the quarterback, which makes a huge difference.
And
I don't care how good the quarterbacks are. Look at Cam Newton was on a hot streak. They took him out of that hot streak.
And if you're going to beat Brady, which ultimately, you know,
you're going to face him.
You're going to have to beat Brady, whether it's in a regular season or it's in a playoffs. But
pressure.
What Brady does not like, he does not like to be hit, and he starts showing signs of frustration.
Sure.
And that's going to be the key.
And we got the guys that are rushing and playing their hearts out. So the defensive line looks great. Linebackers have played well. Moving T.J. Watt to the left made a huge difference. That's his natural position.
Bud Dupree is actually...
Even though Bud Dupree runs 10 feet past everybody every time, he's pressuring people.
No, and
he does make some tackles.
But what ends up happening is he runs past the quarterback and he loops back around and the quarterback forgets he's back there and he's still affecting the
But my point is, there's a guy that got the speed, the skills, and he gets in there as fast as anybody. He's beyond them, Chip. He's beyond these guys, and he has gotten a few sacks this year.
No,
because they've run back into him.
He's playing, you know, he certainly isn't playing at a Pro Bowl caliber.
No.
But he is playing at a much higher level. And, you know, subsequently, you know, look what the Steelers have done.
Well, look at even Tuitt before he just got injured was playing exceptional. You noticed Tuitt where before you didn't notice him.
Well, and then you got Hargrave who took Tuitt's spot. He got 2 sacks this weekend.
Yeah, he's playing well.
You know, so I mean.
And Cam Hayward.
He's
been coming on strong.
He's definitely the Steelers' best defensive line, and he's a leader, and he's leading by example.
Sure.
Okay, you know, because all these guys, we had leaders last year like Mike Mitchell, who he did was go like this, flap his gums, and then not make any plays. You know,
he'd let the guys go by.
Yeah, well, you know,
and he's gone.
Yep, and he's not missed.
No, not at all. We're doing well because we had to pull together as a team, and it shows that effort. I give the coaching staff, whether they're competent or not, somehow Tomlin does it each year. Whether the standard is the standard, we're doing it, and that's what counts.
You know, all we hear constantly is the criticisms of Mike Tomlin, his game management, his clock management. A member of our panel consistently grades his drafts at D- or lower. But, you know, in 11 years, the guy's won over 65% of his games. Somebody's doing something right, and I don't think he's getting the credit that he deserves because he truly is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And
here's the example. What would we do if we were in Cleveland with the head coach that they had?
I mean, and
they
I
just
tell you
got
what,
rid of him. I mean, come on.
Cleveland would build statues. They'd name roads after Mike Tomlin. They would do everything that they could think of because, you know, Pittsburgh sports fans were spoiled.
Amen.
You know, we
grew up in the 70s with championships every year.
We grew up in the 60s and the 70s, Alan and I. And, you know, the Pirates were always a contender every year. You know, Danny Murtaugh won 2 titles. Chuck Tanner won 1. You know, the Steelers of the 70s were the team of the century. You know, and, you know, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they came from out of nowhere. And
speaking of Penguins, what's wrong with the Penguins?
9 losses in their last 10 games.
Unbelievable.
And, you know, Jim Rutherford tried to shake things up by trading
Carl
Hagelin. Now, you know, the trade made sense when you looked at it after the fact. You got Tanner
Yeah.
Pearson.
Yeah,
Tanner
Tanner Pearson.
Pearson, who they get for the next 2 years at $3.75 million, as well as this year. And Hagelin was going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and he was making $4 million this year, and the chances were better than likely he wasn't going to fit under the cap with us anyhow.
No.
So, what the Penguins did was they traded away Speed,
Yeah.
one of the fastest guys. Now, a
And
number of
we need-
people have come to me, and they know my penchant for enjoying talking about sports, and the fact that I kind of try to look at things a little analytically. And they're like, "What is going on with the Penguins?" And
Sure.
in professional sports, are copycat leagues, whether it's football, baseball, hockey, the NBA.
Speed is caught up.
The Penguins, when they won their first cup in 2016, not their first,
Yeah.
it was their fourth, but they were the fastest team on ice. They outskated everybody. Their speed.
200 feet of speed.
And that still held true through 2017. And what ended up happening is the Penguins didn't get better. The rest of the league has caught up to them. And now the Penguins no longer have the fastest team in the league.
No, actually, they look a little
not
slow
even,
at times.
and actually, all the miles that they put on them,
They look slow.
They may have lost a step. I'm sure they would be want to not admit that. But you just sit there and you say to yourself, you got a team with Phil Kessel, Sid Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang. How can this team not
Hornquist.
score?
Yeah.
How can this team not score goals? Now, I will say this.
We were up 4-1 the other night. We
Last
lose
night.
5. Yeah, we
We
lose 5-4
to Buffalo.
It was shocking.
That was to Buffalo. But here's the,
I was shocked by that. Terrible.
one of the things that people are like, what's wrong with the Penguins? Justin Schultz, who they relied on very heavily
Key man.
this year, key man, and he's out for
Four more,
months.
Yeah.
Months. And he is sorely missed. Chris Letang is playing the way Chris Letang
He's third in minutes in the league.
He's playing the way that he played 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Last year, after his neck surgery, he was not the same.
No.
Not the same.
He had to
player.
heal up.
But we bring in Jack Johnson. We signed him to a 5-year contract,
Right.
and the guy is a -10. Okay, which means that when he's on the ice, the Penguins are usually being scored upon.
Sure.
This is not a good thing for
Plus
a defenseman.
is good. Yeah.
So I mean, Matt Murray is struggling.
Yeah.
Is struggling. Is he injured? Is he showing the effects of post-concussion syndrome?
Yeah.
I don't know. But we're getting close to the end of the show, folks. Wanted to touch on all these different things.
Well, especially the Penguins, we believe in them so much, and I thought they'd get the rest that they needed and would hitting on all cylinders, but they're not.
No,
they're missing.
you know what? The answers to their problems are in that room, and they've got to figure it out.
And I think they can, given time. You
Well,
know.
they will. They're proud. They're a championship caliber team. Their season's not over yet, but there's going to be some changes made. So I'm going to throw it over to Al, get a wrap up. And,
All right.
It's been great talking sports with you folks this evening.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving again. Enjoy your turkey. It's been great being out here for the show, and we appreciate the help here with Steve Fisher and Zach Taylor. Thank you very much, guys, helping us look very good and efficient. And we end each show with, happy Thanksgiving and stay Joey strong.